This cycle, I mean, it's fair to call it the year of the wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a stretch from Jeremiah Smith, Cam Coleman, TJ Moore, Ryan Williams, who reclassified and joined the party.
Who was the number one wide receiver in the 2025 class and is now under consideration. But of course, Jeremiah Smith, our number one, Cam Coleman, our number two, Ryan Williams, our number three. But like Charles Power said, in any, not any other year, but in some years, TJ Moore is the number one wide receiver in the country.
Yeah. And I mean, I was going to ask you first, as someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes recruiting, how does a year like this compare to other years? Charles Power was throwing out the 2008 year with Julio Jones and AJ Green. I mean, is that a fair call?
Yeah, absolutely. But some years it's a running back year. Some years it's an offensive tackle year. Some years there's three generational edges. This year it happens to be there's 3 or 4 number one wide receivers, but only one can be number one. And Jeremiah Smith separated himself from a group of number ones to be a true elite number one. Unbelievable. A lot of drama with this one behind the scenes. I don't know if people know, but Hayes Fawcett had a Miami graphic ready to go just in case for Jeremiah Smith.
Okay.
So there was
inside baseball there.
And that was kind of some of the delay. There was a delay in his NLI being sent in. He had the ceremony, but then 4 hours later, Ohio State is still not sending it in. Was he thinking about things? But at the end of the day, he's an Ohio State Buckeye. They have an unbelievable class, but you really can't miss if you're a team that signed Cam Coleman, if you signed TJ Moore, if you signed Ryan Williams. Look, you got a number one wide receiver in terms of the expectation of once they get on campus and they develop, these guys are bona fide number ones.
What I thought was crazy was when we did the signing day show, I keep referring back to that because there was just so many good conversations had. But Charles Power is like, listen, we hear it on 3. We were a little bit ahead of the curve on Marvin Harrison Jr., which one is just funny because it's like, Marvin Harrison, yeah, you know him, his kid, yeah, he ended up being pretty good at football. Crazy how that works. But Jeremiah Smith, he said, is further along than Marvin Harrison Jr. was at that point in time. The folks that are tuned in live that aren't listening to this later on podcast, if you're watching the video feed, it's just poetry in motion. That is a dude that is 6'3", 210, 215, can line up all over the field. It's going to be next to impossible, you have to believe, to keep him off the field as a true freshman.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of outliers, Charles Power, Cam Coleman was an on-3 outlier early in the cycle. This time last year, on-3 had Cam Coleman ranked way higher than the rest of the industry. If you're Charles Power, you got to love to see that because now he's an industry 5-star, meaning he's a 5-star plus, meaning every ranking service in the industry has him as a 5-star. So unbelievable call by Charles Power. Now, he never outranked Jeremiah Smith, but Cam Coleman has been on our radar for a while, and I'm really excited to see what he can do at Auburn.
For a hot minute. See, I like this that we sit here and kind of talk the cash for Charles. Because he wouldn't do it. He would never toot his own horn, but we're here to do it for him.
So, I will toot his horn, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. So go check out that whole conversation on the On The Recruits channel, that whole show on the On The Recruits channel.
Really fun.
A lot of fun.
Great
a lot
insight
of good
from
stuff
Charles.
I kind of want to mix and mash here because those guys, obviously, instant impact guys. I did not arrange this with our producer, Nick Brake, so we'll kind of just talk this through of guys that are going to have an impact. We can keep the year at the wide receiver lower third up. There's a couple of guys, though. Ellis Robinson was one of his instant impact freshmen. Going to play, in Charles's mind at least, will compete to play. He's already having some buzz early on in Athens during winter workouts. That was a guy who's also of a very high-profile recruit that you expect to compete early at Georgia. That's tough to do.
He'll go and play.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, he transferred. He was from the Northeast. He transferred to IMG Academy, played his final 2 seasons there, and I truly think, playing at a program like IMG, it's the closest thing day in, day out that you're going to get to the college level. Couple that with the fact that Ellis Robinson is already on campus. I mean, where else can you get that type of experience other than IMG Academy where you're living away from home, not just playing for a really good football team, but you're living away from home. You have tutors. It's a college simulation
without question
on multiple levels. So Ellis Robinson, even though he's going into a very good and loaded defensive secondary, he'll have an opportunity to compete for a starting job.
Without question. TJ Moore, I don't believe he was on Charles's instant impact freshman for the list that he gave us, but expect him. And that year in the wide receiver vein, I probably expect him to be a guy. Jordan Seaton, one of the top offensive tackles in this cycle. He'll probably play right away.
Another
Colorado.
IMG Academy standout.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan Seaton, we were high on him. You know, when IMG played their first game in Nashville. So Charles Power got to go see him live in person, game 1. Was already high on him, but needed to kind of reshape his body and just dial in a few things. And game 1, senior season, Jordan Seaton stuck out like a sore thumb. Rose up the rankings, finishes at our 3rd ranked offensive tackle in the country, industry #1, but the crown jewel of Coach Prime's class. I mean, Coach Prime was out there begging for offensive linemen after the season ended, and for good reason. And then what does he do? He just goes out and lands the number 3 ranked offensive tackle in America. And yes, of course, he's going to play right away. Whether it's left tackle, whether it's right tackle, whether it's guard, it doesn't matter. He's going to contribute at Colorado in some form.
You got to protect Shooter Sanders. Like, it has to happen. And I think the other thing, too, like, you can't teach big. 6 foot, 295. That's pretty big. That'll do just fine. And he'll get acclimated, obviously, but I'm excited to watch him in Boulder. And according to Charles Power, we'll see him probably play sooner rather than later.
What do you think of Jordan Marshall filling in for Blake Corum? Or they're just very similar backs.
Yeah, one thing Charles said that I thought was interesting was the way that he's able to be an asset in the pass game. Like young running backs, if you want to get on the field and have a role early, be able to be a 3rd down back, be able to pass protect, that's first. But second, be able to be an asset where they can line you up if you go empty, be able to catch a little swing route, be able to be a guy in the screen game. Like, the more you can do, because everybody can carry the mail at that level. But for Jordan Marshall to be as developed as he is in the pass catching side of things and to be an asset early for Michigan, go along with Donovan Edwards, I think that's the rich getting richer at that point.
And obviously, he's a gym rat. And we know he'll fit right in there at Michigan.
Yeah, they got a few gym rats over there in Ann Arbor. They got a few of those. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.